Colorado continues their playoff run. They get another big win, this time on the road in Lubbock, 41-27 against a really good Texas Tech team. And I said a few weeks ago, if Colorado can beat Texas Tech on the road in a hostile environment, they're going to win out. They're going to win a Big 12 title, and they're going to stamp their ticket into the college football playoffs, and that is going to happen. And I've been saying this before the season started. All y'all like to call me Deion haters, but I'm not a hater because I'm the only person, it seems like, on the planet that actually believe that this squad could actually go the distance, win this conference, and make it to the playoffs. And everything that I told y'all was going to happen has transpired. The reason why I was so high on Colorado this year is because this was the most talented team in the Big 12. And the Big 12 is nowhere as good as what the Pac-12 was last year. You don't have a Oregon in this team, in this conference. You don't have a Washington either. A lot of these teams are like good 9-10 win teams. You don't have nobody that has the capability to be a national championship contender. So with that, Colorado, although they do have inefficiencies on the offensive line, you don't have anybody in this conference that's good enough to take advantage of their offensive line not being that good like Nebraska was. Nebraska has one of the best defensive lines in college football. They're top 10 in the nation in sacks per game. They got a lot of monsters on that defensive line. Nobody in the Big 12 has the talent up front that Nebraska does. And when you're not able to get pressure on Shedeur Sanders, you give him all day to throw the football. He's going to carve you up with the amount of talent that he's throwing to at receiver. Colorado has 4 wide receivers that are going to be playing in the NFL next year. We all know about Travis Hunter. We all know about LaJohntay Western, Will Shepherd, Jimmy Horn Jr. And if you don't know about those guys, you need to go do your research on them because all 4 of these wide receivers are absolute studs. And not only is it hard to find teams that have a good enough pass rush to slow down Shedeur Sanders, but it's also hard to find teams that have enough talent in the secondary where they're 3-4 deep at corner and they can slow down these wide receivers in one-on-one coverage. Shedeur Sanders today put on a clinic. 291 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He went 30 of 43. Travis Hunter had another good game, although not as good as what his previous games have been. He only had 9 receptions, 99 receiving yards, and a touchdown. I know that's a good game, but it's a down game for Travis Hunter standards when you think of how good he's been, but still a really good performance. But what impressed me the most outside of how good Shedeur was how damn good this defense was. Warren Sapp might have been one of the biggest offseason hires by anybody in college football outside of Indiana hiring Curt Cignetti. And when he ended up releasing the finalists for the Jim Boyles Award, which goes to the Assistant Coaches of the Year, Warren Sapp has been in that conversation along with Colorado's defensive coordinator because this defense has played outstanding football for the last 2 months. They had 7 sacks, 11 tackles for loss in this win over Texas Tech, and they forced 3 turnovers. They got an interception and a forced fumble. With this one against Texas Tech, it all but solidifies that Colorado is going to be in the 12-team college football playoffs this year. Now, I don't know how far they can go once they get into the playoffs. It depends on their matchups. But if you got to go up against a team from the SEC like Tennessee or Ole Miss, you could be in a lot of trouble. But, you know, this is outstanding job that Deion Sanders has done turning around this program. Before he arrived to Boulder with his Louis luggage, this was a program that only won 1 game before he arrived, and they've only had 1 good season in the last 2 decades. Nobody has really paid attention to Colorado football on a national level since the 90s before Coach Prime arrived. And a lot of people who were hating on Coach Prime, calling what he was doing an experiment, owe this man no apology. Because how he's gone about transforming Colorado is going to be a method that's going to be used by a lot more coaches when they get head coaching opportunities. Because Deion Sanders took the untraditional route to build up this team. The way that he rebuilt Colorado was by using the transfer portal as it was NFL free agency, just getting a bunch of guys to come through. If you can get a few good players, you keep them and you cut the rest, and you just keep on getting guys from the portal until you get good enough players that you have a good enough team. And a lot of folks were under the assumption that you can't build a good culture when you solely build your team through the portal because you seem to have a bunch of mercenaries. But what people kind of underestimate is that this is Deion Sanders. With Deion Sanders being the untraditional coach, because he has become a head coach faster than most head coaches. Most head coaches, it takes them at least 18 years working their way up from being a water boy to being a coordinator to finally getting an opportunity to be the head man. Deion Sanders, he never was an OC on the college football FBS level. You know, he got his first interview to be the head coach for Arkansas, and you know, they came really close to hiring him, but they were just like, you know, the SEC is a little too tough for somebody who has no head coaching experience. So he goes to Jackson State, dominates the SWAC, comes to Colorado, and in year 2, he's dominating the Big 12. The only conference loss Colorado has had this year is to Kansas State. And you see, the way Deion Sanders has built this team is treating the transfer portal like it's free agency, and then when he does recruit, you know, he gets guys out of high school. He's looking for guys who can come in and make a big impact right away. Jordan Seaton has been one of the best freshmen in all of America, and it doesn't even have anything to do with position. You know, if you're just talking about which freshmen this year have had the biggest impacts on their team, regardless of position, it's been Jordan Seaton because he's been an anchor at left tackle, protecting Shedeur Sanders' blind side. You know, Deion Sanders has done a fantastic job coaching up Colorado, and even I am a little bit shocked at how good this team has been. I was expecting this to be a 10-win team, mainly because this team, I felt, was equipped to outscore everybody and win shootouts 56-48, but I didn't think this defense would be one of the best in the Big 12. So Colorado, with this win over Texas Tech, they proved that they're locked to make it to the playoffs because their last 3 games, you're playing Utah, you're on the road against Kansas and Oklahoma State, and I know you can't overlook any of these opponents, but with Iowa State falling, BYU currently trailing at the moment 21-13 against Utah with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, it's all but a lock that not only Colorado is going to be in the Big 12 title, but they're going to be hoisting up that Big 12 championship, and they're going to be in the playoffs this year. I know it's going to make a lot of people sick to see, but it's going to make me really happy because I love Deion Sanders. I've been rooting for him to succeed, and to see him hoisting that Big 12 title would mean everything for that program when you think about how down they've been for years. I remember when they beat TCU, their athletic director or their school president, whoever it was, the dude broke down crying. Deion has been a miracle worker for this program and that community with everything that he's meant to Boulder and Colorado's football program.